What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. I hope that if you're playing fantasy football, that all your teams did well this week. I know that mine did pretty well, and I am sorry for missing an episode. Things got a little bit crazy with work, so it took me a little bit longer to get an episode out for you guys, and that's what I'm going to do today. And the first thing I want to talk about is obviously a Denver Nugget legend, Carmelo Anthony, is finally being was finally inducted into the Hall of Fame, something that he definitely deserved. I mean, this was a guy who I want to say pre-Jokic may have been the best Denver Nugget of all time. That's maybe a hot take for some people. Obviously, Dave Thompson is a guy who way before my time, but was nice to see him play. But Melo was great. I mean, that was my childhood of watching the Denver Nuggets. That's when my first memories of watching the Nuggets were Carmelo Anthony. I didn't know too much about him, but I did remember the jerseys and what got me into the Denver Nuggets at that time. But a guy that he wore the number 15 with pride for the Denver Nuggets. His speech, he fully talked about how Denver was part of his journey, what shaped him in the NBA, and I love to hear it. As somebody from New York, I don't blame him for wanting to go to the Knicks and, wanting to be a hometown guy, and he ended up being that. The one thing I hope Denver doesn't do just yet, which I don't think they will because of how good Nikola Jokic is retire the number 15. I think that maybe Melo's number should be up in the rafters, but they should also wait until Nikola Jokic is done so they can put both of them up in the rafters. Now, we all know I think Nikola Jokic is probably the best Denver Nugget of all time, and I don't know if I would say that anybody is better in my opinion. I just think that he's a guy led Denver to their first ever championship. Or NBA Finals, not championship, but he's a guy who is leading or going to most likely lead the entire organization in just about every single offensive stat category. So, I mean, how could you not wait until his career is over? But I do think when and if the number is retired, which I am almost 99% sure it will be, in one of their favors, that both of their names should be up in the rafters together because they're two guys who are two of the biggest players in the organization's history. Two guys, if you look at the logo, you're going to think about obviously the logo change, which I sort of like the fact that the jerseys and the change in logo sort of separates them. And when you see one logo, you see the old logo of the light blue mountains. You immediately think Carmelo Anthony. And when you see the newer logo with the circle, it says Mile High City, or just the Denver circle, you think Nikola Jokic. And I just think that it's great that there's something separating the two players so that you know which era belonged to which player. And in my opinion, that is great. But like I covered a couple episodes ago, or last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, the Carmelo Anthony trade brought us some great players. It brought us Danilo Gallinari, and it also brought us a draft pick that landed this specific guy, and that is Jamal Murray. Now, scrolling through X the other day, and I saw that Jamal stat that I thought was a truly amazing stat. And now, Jamal's a guy where every single Denver fan, including myself, puts so much blame on him because of the money he's making. And that's the only reason why. Now, he's the second option for Denver. We all know that. This past year, it might have been Aaron Gordon a little bit more, but you have a guy like MPJ. But when it came to MPJ and Jamal Murray, the biggest reason everybody hated on them, and I think that everybody could say this is true, is because they make so much money. So you want them to live up to their contracts. Jamal's a guy who has his big games, but he also has games where he sort of, doesn't do anything and doesn't provide Denver, Denver with what they need at the time, and that's when everybody gets frustrated. But you look at how good Jamal has really been, right? You look at this stat, and he is first in 3 points made by a Nugget ever. He is first in playoff 3-pointers made by a Nugget ever. He is second in playoff points by a Nugget ever. He is second in playoff assists by a Nugget ever. Second in playoff steals by a Nugget ever. Sixth in points by a Denver Nugget. And sixth in assists by a Denver Nugget. 0 All-Star selections. Now, when I think it's all said and done, I truly think that number 27 should be up in the rafters. The reason I say that, maybe there's no All-Star selections, maybe there's no All-NBA selections, maybe there was no all-defensive teams. This is a guy who is the leading point guard to the first ever NBA Finals won by the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, you could say that Jokic was the one that brought them there, but without Jamal maybe hitting a game winner or having his big games here and there, they don't get there. This is a guy who, let's say they win the finals one of the upcoming years, he's most likely the starting point guard. He's a guy that was able to help Denver get it done when they needed it. The one thing I love about Jamal, when they did the whole documentary, the Road to the Championship documentary, I don't remember exactly who was speaking on it, but I remember somebody talking about how after Jamal's injury, he went to the organization and he was basically in tears saying that, he knew they were going to trade him because that's the right thing to do, and, you don't trust him. And Denver stuck with him to win a finals. And I think that really means so much to the team. It means so much to the guys in the locker room to see that this guy has so much emotion for the Denver Nuggets and pushed through one of the worst injuries you could probably ever encounter in a in your pro basketball career. So to see him want to continue to push after going through that and really loving the organization to the point where he was almost in tears thinking that they were going to trade him is something that you love to see from a current player on the team, and somebody that, I think that it leads to the jersey being in the rafters. That's just my take when it comes to Jamal Murray. Now, speaking about guys who are going to be in the rafters, we just talked about him, but Nikola Jokic. Now, again, scrolling through X, I was looking at the whole Eurobasket 16 team bracket elimination from Serbia, and I was very surprised. But I mean, listen, the team wasn't great. They lost Bogdan, who I don't know what the timeline right now is for his NBA career this upcoming season, but you look at what happened. The last time Jokic was eliminated from the 16-team tournament in, the round of 16 in Eurobasket was 2022. And in the 2022 offseason, Denver went out, acquired guys like Bruce Brown. They brought in Payne Watson. They brought in Christian Brown. And in 2023, the year after the year of that offseason, they won the finals. Now, 2025, Jokic loses in round 16 of Eurobasket. The management goes ahead and they bring in Bruce Brown. They bring in Tim Hardaway Jr. They bring in Val. Now, will history repeat itself and Denver wins another championship? Because I think that'd be great. I just think it's a funny stat. And I think that I would bank on Denver winning the championship a lot more this year than I think ever before. This is the best team I've seen in Denver in a very long time. And along with that, it's also the best the Western Conference probably has ever been. So I would love for history to repeat itself, but we shall see. And the last thing I want to get into here, one of my favorite topics on this channel, and that is the community talk topic. And Fent Jones, who is a guy who comments, I think probably has the most comments in this channel's history, and I gotta take that up with my boss and see if that's true. But I do, I love the support, and I really appreciate it. I read all your comments when I can. He was speaking about, you backpacking off of what I was talking about a couple episodes ago, where Cam Johnson could probably play the 1, and I said he could play anywhere from the 2 to the 4 defensively. And, he commented that, he probably couldn't guard the 2 defensively, and it's not an argument. I'm not going to sit here and say I disagree. But my immediate thought with Cam saying that he could play the 2 through 4 is that when you're going to run a big lineup, because we're going to see it happen, they have the unit to do it this year, where you'll probably see maybe Bruce, Tim, even Jamal at the 1, or maybe Cam at the 1, and then the 2 could be anywhere from Cam, Payne Watson. The 3 could be anywhere from AG, Deron Holmes, then you'll see Val or AG or Val or Deron at the 4. And then Jokic to the 5. So there's the lineup. My ideal lineup, if you're running a big man lineup like that, Cam, Watson, AG, Deron, Val, off the bench. Obviously, I'd rather Jokic in there. I just mean a bench unit. And the one thing I think about is the fact that Denver plays so much zone. So you might see Denver running a zone defense and running a big man lineup like that because you're covering so much ground at the top of the key with Cam and Watson, who are such long bodies, that it leads to steals when you're cutting off the lane, and that could lead to easy, fast break points. But almost all of them could shoot. I mean, all of them could shoot. It just depends on how well Watson really shoots from the three-point line. So that's the only thing I have to say about that. I think when he comes in, it's going to be more of zone pressures and zone defense. But I am excited to see what Denver does with their lineups this year. Anyway, that is all I got for you guys in today's episode. I do apologize, like I said, that I couldn't get an episode out yesterday, and I'm going to try to get another episode out tomorrow. I do have a lot of traveling to do. Got some personal stuff going on, so gonna try to still get an episode out for you guys tomorrow if I can. But thank you guys for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys want me to cover anything, please let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys later.